Hi, I'm Daniela Cambone, joined today by Keith Neumeyer, the CEO, founder, and president of First Majestic Silver. Keith, always good to be with you. Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Well, Happy New Year as well, and great day in silver markets today. Nice to see a little bit of green on everyone's screen.
Absolutely, silver having a good day, and so is First Majestic Silver here. We're here today to discuss the record Q4 in 2021 and full year production results and 2022's guidance. Keith, congrats on a record fourth quarter and a strong finish to 2021. The Q4's production was in fact a record in the company's 20-year history, so a real milestone here.
It was interesting because, Q2, Q3, we struggled away. We just bought JERRITT Canyon in Q1 and had to incorporate it and all the costs that came in associated, with that. And then the dropping grades at Lincoln Tata and Santa Elena. And it's just, it wasn't really looking like it was going to be a record year. But then all of a sudden things just turned around. And this is Mother Nature. You never know when it's going to happen.
Yep.
We know the ore is there. We know the grade is there, but all of a sudden, boom! It just happens. And we got ERMITANO in line earlier than expected. We weren't supposed to get ERMITANO online until January. We got it feeding the mill in November, and that ore grade is 4 or 5 times the grade as the normal grade that's coming out of the main old Santa Elena vein. So that was huge. And then JERRITT Canyon started turning around, and then San Dimas grades started to pop, and it was just a bunch of great things that happened at the end of the year.
And we have a lot of ground to cover, Keith, but before we do that, I just want to invite the folks to stick around till the end of this video, because I'm going to let them know how they can win a 10-ounce silver coin that First Majestic will be giving away. So Keith, one thing, while I was glancing over this morning's release, I see a lot of blue sky potential, in particular from 2 of your producing mines, the Santa Elena mine and the San Dimas mine. They both had their best quarters ever. So tell us how these assets performed and what's behind the record production results here.
Well, let's start with Santa Elena. The ERMITANO discovery was done back in 2016, and getting it into production in 5 years, that's pretty good. A lot of people ask, well, how long does it take from a drill bit discovery to actually get ounces out of the ground into revenue? And here's a great example. Fortunately, we had the mill built. The Santa Elena mill was built years ago, and it's been starving for ore. And then as the Santa Elena vein started to deplete, actually, we think it actually might widen in depth now, but that's yet to be proven. But it has been challenged through narrowing and through lack of great grades, as was always historically feeding the mill. But so ERMITANO came along at a great time. We didn't expect to start feeding ore to the mill until January, as our guidance has suggested throughout the year, but we actually started getting it into the mill in November. So we're 2 months ahead of schedule, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, production goes up by 48%. I think it's 48 or 42%. And we quoted the number in the news release. I just don't have it in front of me, but it was a huge increase quarter over quarter for production at Santa Elena. And that's going to continue where we're still not in the great grades at ERMITANO. These grades at ERMITANO are still going to improve over the next year as we get deeper into the mine, because that's where all the better grades are. So, we're still shallow, yet the grades are, 2-3 times what they historically have been. So that's going to be fantastic. So, we're expecting to produce something like, call it 8 million ounces of silver equivalent at Santa Elena in 2022. That's up from about, 5-ish in that range. And then by next year, 2023, that number is likely going to push through 10 million ounces, and it could even go higher from there. So, it's a big exploration program there, big land package, 100,000 hectare land package, which is 250,000 acres for those people that don't know what hectares are. But it's a monstrous land package. And then San Dimas, it's been challenged, for the last couple of quarters, and part of it's COVID related for sure. I think that the fact that we weren't able to go down to site as often as we would. And I think that, some practices, started to develop that probably likewise wouldn't have. And we ended up replacing the management team. So the top three individuals we let go in Q2 at that mine, and it's in turnaround mode. But I can tell you that Q4, it was great quarter, record quarter, for that mine, for that operation. And yeah, of course, it's got to do with people. You put new people in place, and often great things happen. And we're expecting that's going to continue in 2022.
Really well said. And Keith, just to keep going down this laundry list of achievements in 2021, you had the acquisition of JERRITT Canyon, Santa Elena's ERMITANO mine, from discovery to production, like you said, in a blistering pace of 6 years. The power conversion at Santa Elena from diesel to LNG, overall improvements at the JERRITT Canyon with a number of high-profile projects now completed, and so on. So give us some input here, if you can, Keith, on some of these achievements and what were standouts for you.
Well, acquiring a mine in Nevada, is the biggest event that occurred in the year, of course. I put the company together 19 years ago, and we've been very well known as a silver-centric miner with all its assets in Mexico. And Mexico's not the same as it used to be. And then, just let's be clear, Latin America, is turning into a bit of a basket case, with what's going on in Argentina and Peru and now Chile. Mexico's hopefully not going completely crazy, but still at the same time, the Mexican government is not as friendly to foreign investments or foreign investors that previous governments have been. So, as a large shareholder of First Majestic and as the CEO of the company, my ultimate task is to protect, my shareholders. And I felt it was time to step out of Mexico and look into a new jurisdiction. Nevada, is a great place to be. I would love to have seen a JERRITT Canyon silver mine, but it ended up being JERRITT Canyon gold mine. But that's fine. Our gold production and now has increased on a percentage basis. But I can tell investors or shareholders that we could stop selling silver tomorrow and pay all our bills with gold.
Wow. Well, yeah. I'm happy you brought that up. And I'm going to stop you right there because I'll share some numbers here. You produced a record of over 192,000 ounces of gold, which is very impressive. But as you know, the core folks, the shareholders of First Majestic want to know, well, is this going to shift your focus now away from silver?
We hope not. We are involved in a couple of interesting discussions with some other groups, and not that anything might happen tomorrow. I don't want to put out false information, but we're always talking to groups out there in the M&A area to build our business, and that will never stop. But our focus is definitely on silver. With JERRITT coming into our portfolio, giving us a little bit higher revenue from gold, I'd love to see the next M&A transaction a very silver-centric transaction. So, that's what we're working on. Whether it happens or not, who knows? But my love is silver. I love gold too. Don't get me wrong. But I think there's way more upside in silver. I think we will see triple-digit silver, and I put my money where my mouth is. So.
And we'll get to your forecast. So the folks at home want to stay tuned to the end for that.
Sure.
But going back to production growth here a second, you brought it up before. As you all know, that's the core of what's important in the mining business. And in your latest release, you've given guidance for 2022 that you'll produce between 32.2 and 35.8 million silver equivalent ounces this year. So that's roughly a 27% increase year over year. You talked about your projections for 2023, but where is all of this silver going to come from?
Yeah, well, that's the growth is ERMITANO, of course. We already talked about ERMITANO coming in. Santa Elena going from a 5 million ounce producer to an 8 million and a 10 million, and hopefully even higher than that over the next few years. So a lot of growth will come there. JERRITT Canyon, produced 100,000 ounces of gold in 2021, and this year, 2022, it's going to be closer to 120 million thereabouts. Or I think I'd have to look at the slide to make sure I got that number right. But 30 million basically on the top end of the numbers there. But we expect that mine's going to be a 200,000 ounce producer by 2024. And we expect to be producing 50 million ounces of silver equivalent by 2024. And that's going to be done through ERMITANO, coming 100% online, done through also JERRITT Canyon doubling in size, and done through the improvements at San Dimas due to higher grades as a result of some of the new areas of that mine that we've been drilling for the last couple of years and just haven't been mining.
You know, anyone that knows you and the team at First Majestic knows that exploration is a key focus for you guys. If I could just read something from the latest news release, it says the company is planning to drill over 320,000 exploration meters in 2022, which would be another record. So Keith, tell us, why is exploration so important, and where exactly will the drilling take place?
Well, we have monstrous land packages. People should go onto our website and really have a look at the size of our endowment that we have. And, the JERRITT Canyon, somewhere shy of 40,000 hectares, Santa Elena, around 100,000 hectares, San Dimas, around 70,000 hectares. These are big, chunky land packages. And, back, in 2013, 2014, 2015, there was no margins. The prices of the metal were too low that, we couldn't afford to drill. Now we can, with the amount of profits that we're making, we need to plow this money into exploration, and that's going to increase these mills. These mills are starving for ore. You've got JERRITT Canyon's a 5,000 ton a day mill. It's only operating at 2,500 tons a day. San Dimas could be 3,000 tons. We think Santa Elena eventually over the next 2 to 3 years could be a 5,000 ton a day operation. But the problem is the lack of feed, and that's a result of lack of investment over the last 5-6 years when metal prices collapsed back in 2014. So this is all coming back, so we can start building our revenues or building our production. And I'm expecting in a rising metals market as well. So, we have increased production and rising metals market. The next, 2 to 3 years is going to look pretty good.
Let me ask you, Keith, given the current economic and monetary situation that we're confronting here in 2022, what are your concerns, your biggest concerns as a CEO? Is it, is it inflation? Is it the coming taper? Is it, the interest rate environment we'll find ourselves in? What are you really pointing on here?
Well, I guess it all comes down to metal prices, because ultimately, we're extractive business. So, our costs are very high. Extractive industries are very expensive, and we're always under attack by governments. We're always, being looked at, and to do, whether it's environmental rules or whether it's taxation, you name it. There's always, people out there looking at, somehow taxing the extractive industries somehow more because, we're deemed as some kind of, dirty business or something. But nevertheless, so that's always there in the back of our head. So so it always comes down to jurisdiction where we're active in. That's one of the key reasons why we moved into Nevada, and that's one of the key reasons why we're looking at some of the other M&A opportunities that we're looking at right now. Is to try to diversify the portfolio and try to reduce the risks. So it's really that's it. You've got political or land tenure, you want to call it, permitting and metal prices.
And I guess before we get to the giveaway and your price forecast for gold and silver, do you have any closing remarks for the folks back at home?
I think 2022 is going to be a great year. But honestly, I just, it looks to me like the stars are aligning. Gold has had just this enormous tight trading range, despite all the what's going on out there in the financial markets, the volatility, gold's been caught between this kind of 1780 and 1830 range for a year. And that tells me that's forming a very, very, very solid base. Silver's been a little bit more volatile, as it always has, but it's held up pretty good as well. But I just think that we just need gold to break out here, break out 1830, 1850, and the game's going to be on. And we're probably going to need break in the stock market, mind you, which is something that none of us really want to see. But I think we do need a bit of a crack in the major markets to set that all off, like similar to what happened in 2000.
So to that point, Keith, I know you don't like giving forecasts, but the people at home love them. So if I had to ask you for a forecast for gold and silver in 2022, where could you see both metals?
Well, I'm not one of these $5,000 gold guys, but I do think $2,200, $2,300 gold is reasonable. I do think we will see a new high for gold in 2022. Seeing a new high for silver, that might be a bit of a stretch, but I'll call it $30 silver for the end of the year.
So, Keith, on that note, let's get to the moment of the interview everyone's been waiting for. It's how you can win First Majestic's 10-ounce silver coin giveaway. I always say makes a wonderful coaster, and it's perfect timing, just in time for Valentine's Day. Here are the rules. One, you got to correctly guess the closing Kitco spot silver price to the penny on February 14th, 2022. Guesses will need to be entered as a comment on the First Majestic Silver YouTube page. It's one entry per user by January 28th, 2022. No new entries will be allowed after that. So there you go, Keith. I'm going to give it a shot.
One thing I should mention is our T-shirts, which you have one. We sent you one.
Yes, I should have worn mine today.
I don't. I'm wearing my golf shirt, but we sent somehow you got one, as I said. So thanks, and those are going onto the website. So we're actually putting them up for sale. Triple digit silver T-shirts. So go to the website and have a look.
And if you don't mind me adding, and this is not an ad, the quality of the T-shirts are awesome. And I've worn mine, and it says triple digit silver, and people have already stopped me and asked me like, oh, where could I get one? So good to know they're on the website. Keith Neumeyer, thank you so much for joining us, giving us the lowdown on the latest results here. Happy New Year and continued success in 2022.
Thanks very much, Danielle. It's always a pleasure.
And thank you all for watching. We'll have much more for you. We'll see you again for the next quarterly update.